shift gears, and I'd be interested in your take on this, because I'm going to take the next few minutes here, and then we'll take phone calls. 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840 is the number to call if you want to join the conversation here. I'm going to argue in these next few minutes that President Obama is deliberately weakening America by gutting the military. That the things that are happening right now to our military are not accidental. They're not coincidental. They are deliberate and they are purposeful on President Obama's part because he hates this country. He has a visceral dislike for America as it was founded. He wants to bring it down. And that's the point of the column. It's up at rightlyconcerned.com. If you'd like to read it, I sent out a tweet today with a link to it. Also, the link is on our Focal Point Facebook page if you'd like to go there. Now, I don't think there's any question. I don't think anybody would doubt my assertion that President Obama has a visceral dislike of America as it was founded. President Obama believes that this country is incurably, irredeemably racist in our very DNA. It's a part of our national wallpaper. This defect is a part of our national core. Therefore, it's not something that can be fixed. This is his view. You cannot fix America. It is racist to the core. It has to be torn down. The whole house has to be torn down. It's got to be rebuilt from the ground up, from the rubble of the ruin, according to his twisted. He's got a utopian, socialist, anti-American, and anti-Christian vision for this country. So he wants to destroy this country as it was founded and then rebuild it according to his utopian vision. Now, you're aware when demolitions experts go to bring down buildings, they will place charges at the base of the weight-bearing pillars in those structures. And then when they're detonated, the entire building collapses under its own weight as each of those pillars crumbles one by one. So President Obama, he wants to destroy, he wants to pull down every pillar of support in this society. Remember, George Washington said morality and religion, by which he meant the Ten Commandments and Christianity, are indispensable supports. They are great pillars of human happiness. In vain would someone claim the tribute patriotism who would labor to subvert these two great pillars of human happiness. This is what President Obama is dedicated to. He is dedicated to undermining the pillar of morality and the pillar of Christianity. He's dedicated his presidency to pulling down these two pillars and crumbling them to dust, which means he is not a patriot. I have no hesitation in saying flat out President Obama is not a patriot. He is not a patriotic American because he is laboring to subvert the pillars of morality and Christianity. Now, one of the pillars that he's got to implode is the United States military, because our military is the strongest, the mightiest, the best equipped military in the history of the world. It's the key to our security, our peace, our tranquility as a people. If he's going to crumble this nation to dust, he's got to destroy the military. So he has to emasculate the military. He's got to neuter it. He's got to feminize it. He's got to weaken it beyond repair. And I submit to you that that process is happening at warp speed, and I do not believe it could possibly be coincidental. I believe he is engaged in a deliberate strategy of sabotage. He is Samson at the pillars, pushing with all of his energy to bring the roof down on all our heads. Remember the story of Samson with the Philistines. He was blind, but he was a man of immense strength. He had one hand on one pillar, the other hand on the other, and he pushed him down. It supported the roof. The whole thing collapsed. 3,000 people died. That guy pushing on the pillars, that's Barack Obama. And one of the pillars he wants to bring down, push over, is the pillar of our military. Now, here are 5 examples. I'm going to run through these very briefly, but 5 examples, and there's a convergence of all 5 of these on President Obama's watch. Number 1, you've got homosexuals being forced into the military against the will of military leaders. Remember, when Congress held these hearings, 3 of the 4 heads of the branches of the military said that admitting homosexuals into the military, open homosexuals, would compromise recruitment, it would compromise readiness, and it would compromise retention. And President Obama plowed ahead anyway. Now, here's my point. President Obama did not force gays into the military in spite of the fact that it would harm recruitment, readiness, and retention. He forced gays into the military because it would compromise recruitment, readiness, and retention. That's what he wants. He wants a military that's unable to recruit, unready for battle, and unable to retain its finest warriors. And we've already seen some of the disturbing effects of gays in the military. Now, the majority of victims of sexual assault in our military are males, victims of homosexual predators. The majority of sexual assaults now committed by homosexuals against male soldiers. That problem is only going to get worse. And this is going to be a huge problem for recruitment. And it's going to be a huge problem for retention because young Americans want to be soldiers. They don't want to be lab rats. They want to be warriors. They do not want to be lab rats and a part of some social experimenting, engineering experiment. Now, secondly, as they're forcing homosexuals into the military, they are forcing Christians out. Christian chaplains are being censored. AFA and other groups like us are being labeled in military training sessions as threats to national security. Christians are being told, look, if you can't get on board this pro-sodomy agenda of the United States military, you got to find another line of work. Now realize the more devout a Christian gets, the more of a patriot he is. The closer he gets to Christ, the deeper a love for his country he develops. So by pushing Christians out of the military, we are stripping our military both of faith and patriotism. President Obama is forcing women into combat. They don't have the upper body strength, the stamina for combat. That is going to weaken our military, make us less ready, less able to carry out our military mission, and less less likely to attract strong recruits. Fourth thing I've observed is President Obama, and I'll talk about this when we come back, is pushing experienced generals out of the military. They are being purged at an alarming rate. And then the last thing, you have these Air Force pilots, they can't retain them. Why are they not retaining Air Force pilots? I think it's because of the admission of homosexuals into the military and women into combat. They've said that's too far for me. Back in 2.